Question number 4. Internal boundaries are immense as most people spend their lives trying to avoid physical and psychological suffering. Now, we can see that the author tries to tell us something in the form of, about the topic of physical and psychological suffering. Now, how does the author start? Internal boundaries are immense. The boundaries that we have created within ourselves are immense, too many, as most people spend their lives trying to avoid physical and psychological suffering. So, what do you understand out of this? When I read this sentence, you have to understand that the author is trying to say that we wish to avoid physical and psychological suffering, and we spend most of our lives trying to do this. And how do we achieve this? Is by building or creating or erecting several boundaries, and hopefully these boundaries are a sort of defense mechanism which avoids any kind of a physical and psychological suffering. Now, if I continue, that is how we are hardwired. Now, the author says this is how we are hardwired. That is to say that this is innate within us. We are born with these tendencies. Okay, that is, we build our own defense mechanisms to avoid any sort of a physical and psychological suffering. Indeed. Again, if I see indeed, a support signal, that is to say, it will be, this sentence would be simply an expounding of the previous sentences. Okay, indeed, the psychologists Daniel and Amos famously showed in their research that people much prefer to avoid a loss than to acquire a gain of equal value. Now, I get another supporting evidence through these experts, that's Daniel and Amos, and through their research they have demonstrated, they have shown that people prefer to avoid a loss. This is, see, a defense strategy, a defense mechanism. They wish to avoid a loss rather than acquire a gain of equal value. That is, they can or they are willing to forego a gain just to avoid some sort of a loss. That is, they do not want to take any risks. This defense mechanism is again to avoid any physical or psychological suffering. Further, that's a support signal. That is to say, we'll have further expounding of the previous ideas. Fear, arguably the most unpleasant emotion. So the author tries to say fear is the most unpleasant emotion, is learned as a way to avoid all types of pain. So fear again is a defense mechanism within people to avoid any type of pain. But definitely fear is one of the most unpleasant of all emotions. Okay, we see Charles Darwin even noted. When I see even noted, that is to say, again this provides further evidence of what has been stated earlier. So Charles Darwin even noted that animals learn caution by seeing their brethren caught or poisoned. So animals can learn a lot of defense mechanisms or strategies when they see their brothers or their family members caught or poisoned. So they get cautious, they learn how to avoid getting caught or poisoned. So if I see the whole structure of the passage, the author makes a claim, that is, we spend most of the lives to avoid any kind of a physical and psychological suffering, and he simply gives supporting or additional evidences to just support his claim. Okay, now look at the question. It can be inferred that the author of the passage would agree with which of the following about fear. Now, the author talks about fear. Now, I have to look for those ideas which the author is most likely to agree. Okay, now let's see. Fear is innate. Okay, I see this. That is how we are hardwired. Hardwired is innate, inborn, something you are born with. So yes, that can be possible. Fear can make people opt for status quo. Status quo is to maintain the same status. Yes, again I get this. Like, we prefer to avoid a loss. That is, we prefer to maintain the same status, whatever we are in, rather than to aspire for a gain. Okay, so even B could be a possible answer choice. Now, fear can be induced. That is, fear can spread from one person to other, from one animal to other, or one organism to other. That is to say, fear is contagious, or fear could be created within organism. Yes, let us see. Charles Darwin even noted that animals learn caution by seeing their brethren caught or poisoned. Yes, so even the animals, they get scared and they have the fear to, avoid all types of pain. Now they learn caution when they see these bad things happening to their family members or friends. So all these A, B and C, all these three are my possible answer choices. So thank you for watching this video. Keep visiting tcyonline.com for the best of online GRE prep.